Welcome to Thought for the Day for Thursday, the 14th of April. Our reading is Luke 23, verses 1 to 15. And the chief priests and the teachers of the law have just met together at daybreak. They have questioned Jesus briefly and condemned him for blasphemy, and pronounced him worthy of death. Their plan is to get Pilate to crucify him. Then the whole assembly rose and led Jesus off to Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, "We have found this man subverting our nation. He opposes payment of taxes to Caesar and claims to be Messiah, a king." So Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. Then Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." But they insisted. "He stirs up the people all over Judea by his teaching. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here." On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was a Galilean. When he learned that Jesus was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he'd been wanting to see him. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform a sign of some sort. He plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there, vehemently accusing him. Then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him. Dressing him in an elegant robe, they sent him back to Pilate. That day, Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this, they had been enemies. Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence and have found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he has sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I will punish him and then release him." But the whole crowd shouted, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. Wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For the third time he spoke to them. "Why? What crime has this man committed? I have found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore, I will have him punished and then release him." But with loud shouts, they insistently demanded that he be crucified, and their shouts prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will. In our home group on Wednesdays, we've been studying a book for Lent called Embracing Justice. It has helped us to look at the whole Bible through the lens of justice. This chapter of Luke demonstrates the injustice of human justice. I often hear people say, if God is so powerful, why doesn't he stop bad things happening? We expect justice to be exercised by external intervention from those with greater power for good. This chapter shows us a different way. Our reading shows Jesus, God himself, in a human body just like ours, standing before his own created beings. Does he receive justice? The Jewish elders were supposed to uphold God's law for their nation, but they want to protect their way of life, their heritage, and their own interests. Jesus is a threat they want rid of. Pilate and Herod should have sought truth and right, but to Herod, Jesus is merely a disappointment for not showing him any miraculous tricks. Pilate sees why the Jews want rid of Jesus, but makes a decision based on political expediency and crowd pleasing. The crowd then decides Jesus' fate. The crowd who a week ago were welcoming Jesus into Jerusalem, waving palm branches and proclaiming him king. How fickle is a crowd, and how easily it is swayed. But Jesus stood alone in his human vulnerability through all of this. The whole of his life on earth was filled with love, grace, and compassion. But he challenged people too, and challenge confronts and is uncomfortable. And that is what got him killed. The love and grace and compassion of Jesus is not a hug that will make everything all right sort of love. It challenges us to turn away from our own comfort and self-satisfaction and ambitions. It challenges us to love and care for others. Jesus calls us to be disciples, to take up our cross and follow him, laying down our lives for others. Are we willing to follow him, whatever the cost? Let's consider his challenge to us today.